Hello TYBSC. How was the lectures? That will be my first question. I hope so that whatever we are giving you, it's good. Today's lecture will be continuation of the previous lecture. That lecture was related with the parasites, parasitology definitions. Today's lecture will be about the associations and about the vectors. So let's start. Welcome back, students. So we are continuing the first two slides will be the continuation of the previous lecture that was related with the parasitism, parasite and host. So in last lecture we have already seen the what is parasitism, what is the classification of parasitism, what are the parasites, what are the host, what are the different type of host. Now in that the last part, what are the effect of parasites on the host. So there are two types of effect that we can see. Either the parasite will directly harm the host or they may indirectly harm the host. Harm in what sense? This is also very much important. Harming means there will be some kind of loss, some kind of problem will be created within the host. Harm can be of different type. That thing we will see today. So first is the direct effect of the parasite on the host. So as you can see, first is the mechanical injury. What kind of mechanical injury? Okay, that may be inflicted by the parasite by means of pressure as it grows larger. Means many times we have seen that mosquitoes, for example, which is a vector actually. We will see today the definition of vector also. Now in mosquitoes we have seen that when mosquitoes bite, we try to scratch and there will be a lump on the skin. Okay, but there are certain parasites which may create cyst, and for example hydatid cyst that may cause blockage of ducts such as blood vessels, and which may produce the infraction, or it may be harmful within the body also. Okay, so as they grow larger, that will block the blood vessels also. So that will be a kind of mechanical injury that a parasite can form. Another one can be a type of deleterious effect of the toxins. The best example of this will be the Plasmodium falciparum production of toxin substances which causes rigors. Means when the infection takes place actually, and when there is during this malarial stages, when the RBC bursting starts, at that time hemoglobin is converted to the toxic substance, and this toxic substance may cause rigors or shivering within the patients. Okay, so this is a kind of deleterious effect. Another one, that is the most common kind of effect that may happen, that is the deprivation of nutrients, fluids and metabolites. Now deprivation means what? Parasites will remain within the body of the host for some time, and within the body of the host it will definitely, it is present in the body for nourishment. So it will start nourishing itself, and it will just take up all the nutrients, fluids, and this may lead to some kind of deficiencies, and it may produce diseases. Means parasite may produce disease by competing with the host for the nutrients. Some of the diseases that happens because of the lack of nutrients, you are taking up the nutrients, but if number of parasites within your body are more and they are getting the nourishment from that, then it become difficult. So this is a kind of, again, the direct effect of the parasites on the host. So there are three effects: mechanical injury, deleterious effect and deprivation of nutrients. Other than this, there are indirect effects. Means host are not directly affecting the host are not directly affected by the parasite, but there is a effect. For example, immunological reactions means tissue damage may be caused by immunological response of the host. See, our body mechanism, it always try to protect us against the foreign attackers, means they identify the parasite many times and they try to kill the parasite, but during the killing or during the infection itself there is a possibility that this immune system, while removing the parasitic parts or parasitic content from our body, destroying the parasitic content from our body, possibility is there that they may damage our tissues also. For example, nephritic syndrome, which is followed because of the plasmodium infections. Okay, what happens? Excessive proliferation of certain tissue due to invasion by some parasites can also cause tissue damage in the man. This is also one of the effect. Then there is a fibrosis of liver after deposition of ova of cystosoma. So what will happen after deposition of ova of the cystosoma? That there is a possibility that within the liver fibrosis may occur, or there is a possibility that our body may go for the response against this particular ova. It will try to attack, but that attack may lead to some kind of damage to our tissues also. Most of the time our body don't attack because our body immune system identify our cells, our body cells, but they have a problem, or one can say they are very much equipped against those cells or those things which are not belongs to the body, but sometimes this may happen. So this is a kind of indirect effect of the parasite. Okay, now this slide, this is the last slide related with the effect of parasite on the host. Now we are going to starting with the association. Okay, so first thing about the symbiosis. Now, permanent or temporary association. Here I will talk about, first of all, permanent association between two different organisms so dependent on each other that their life part is impossible from each other. When if both are not there, then there is a problem. Okay, but there are some associations which are not necessarily temporary permanent. Okay, there will be temporary association, and temporary association also very important. So symbiotic interactions commonly classified as parasitism, commensalism, amensalism or mutualism. There are few more parts other than this, but these are the four major part of symbiotic interaction. So first one, parasitism, that we have already seen. Okay, the only thing that I want to add here, whatever parasitism, commensalism is there, amensalism is there, and mutualism, look at the words in the bracket plus and minus. Now this part is very important from the exam point of view. In many of the competitive exams, they may ask you the parasitism or commensalism is dash kind of association. Now the dash, you will have four options: plus minus, plus 0, 0 oblique minus, or plus plus. So you should know what exactly the commensalism is. That's why I have added this part in this particular slide. So parasitism, one organism in association benefits while other is harmed. Very important. And in bracket plus and minus. Plus means one organism, that is the parasite, which is benefited by this association, whereas another organism, that is the host, which is not at all which is harmed, and it is not benefited, not at all benefited. So plus and minus, this is the symbol, remember. Second one is the commensalism. Okay, parasitism examples we have already seen. Again I will say the flea feeding on its host, or ticks feeding on the host, or you can say the plasmodium feeding on its host. So this is all about the parasitism. We have already seen some examples. We will see more examples later chapter also, because this whole thing is related with the parasitism. We will go to the commensalism. One organism in association benefits while the other is neither helped nor harmed. So one organism dependent on the other benefited from the other host, but it is not harming the host. That's why in bracket plus means organism is getting benefit, and 0 means the host or whatever benefits is getting from other organism, the main host or organism is not getting harmed, neither harmed and neither helped, nothing happened. That's why 0, neutral. Then another one is there, amensalism. Now this is a different type of association, means or one organism harms another organism, but neither harmed nor benefited, but is neither harmed or not benefited as a result. Means one organism is there which is harming another organism, not intentionally. Whatever happens in amensalism, this is also a kind of interaction between two organisms, but in this interaction what happens, there is means no benefit to the person who is organism who is causing the harm, but yes, another one get harmed. So benefited 0, or result another one is harmed, so it will be 0 oblique minus, or most of the time it will be 0 or minus. Okay, so you can write 0 or minus also, better you write that. This will be confusing if you think so. So commensalism example, spider benefit from building webs on the plants while plants remain unharmed. Amensalism, cows crushing the grass as they walk. Okay, we will see the details of this. Then you have a mutualism, when both organisms are in association with each other and benefited, both are benefited. Okay, and it will be plus plus. Okay, so we will see one by one the examples and details of each part. First we will start with the mutualism. Now mutualism, mutual benefit is derived from the association. So all are benefited. Mutualistic, this word comes from Latin word mutus, meaning reciprocal. Reciprocal means if I am doing something, similarly the person front of me is doing something, and both are getting benefited from each other. Reciprocal, I am reciprocating to another person. Relationships, these kind of relationships are those in which both species benefited in association, for in terms of both growth also and survival also. This is very important. An organism, it may grow, or with the growth it is also necessary that it should survive the life, because there are many organisms, there are natural predators also, and this kind of mutualistic association, sometimes some of the organisms get some kind of protection from the predators, while they are producing something which is benefited to the protector. So we will see some examples. Then you have one more definition of mutualism, that is an association in which both partners are metabolically dependent upon each other. Metabolically, very important word, dependent upon each other, and one can live and one cannot live without the help of another. However, none of the partners suffer any harm from the association. Now here comes the main part, one cannot live without the another, and they are dependent metabolically, okay, on each other. Now it describes, mutualism also describes an ecological interaction between two or more species, where each species has a net benefit. Now there are many examples of this mutualism. The first one that I want to add is the relationship between certain species of flagellated protozoa, that is Trichonympha, okay, living in the gut of termite. Now listen here, you people know about the termites, okay. Now termites, we know termites eat wood. They you can find the termites on the trees, And many times in house also, if termites are there, your wooden furniture will be destroyed. Now, if termites are infecting or infesting the wood, means wood is made up of what? Wood is made up of cellulose material. Termites, we think that termites eat cellulose. They can eat, that's why they are infesting on the wood. Now, the main thing is they cannot digest the cellulose directly. They can only digest the cellulose with the help of enzymes, that is cellulase enzyme, which is produced by the Trichonympha organism, which is present in the guts of the termites. So termites are eating the wood or cellulose, but they get the nourishment or digestion is carried out by the enzymes. These enzymes are not naturally produced within the intestine of the termites, but those are produced by the Trichonympha protozoans or organisms, which actually is responsible for giving the nourishment to the termites. So protozoa, which depend entirely on the carbohydrate diet, acquire their nutrients from the termites, because termites are eating cellulose continuously. In return, they are capable of synthesizing, secreting cellulases, the cellulose digesting enzymes, which are utilized by the termites in their digestion. As you can see, the two diagrams, the first one is of the termites, and another one is the diagram of flagellated Trichonympha campanula, okay, and the termite Zootermopsis, okay. Another kind of association, as you can see, is honeybees, bee and the flower. Flowers get the pollination is carried out by the flower. Pollination of flower is carried out by the bees, whereas bees get the food from the flower. So here both are getting benefited. This is also one of the example of mutualism. So there are many examples. I will add this part in our assignment also, more examples of mutualism, okay. Now next one is the commensalism. Now commensalism, when the parasite benefited from the host while the host neither benefited or not harmed. So one is getting benefit, whereas host actually is not either harmed or benefited, or maybe he will get something or something not. So this commensal derived from the Latin word commensalis and means that the same table together, okay. They are eating together, but one is eating something else, another is eating something else. So most definitions indicate that one species benefit and association, as you can see, 0 plus, or you can write okay. So then commensalism association may be facultative, in which both species are able to live independently on one another, or obligatory. Here one should know that in commensalism, one species not necessarily dependent on another type of species, okay. They may live separately, everything is not dependent on them, whereas one species may be slightly dependent on another species, depend upon their food habitat. Otherwise they can go they can separate. Now example here, the cattle egret, that is Bulbulus ibis, okay, observed riding the back of the cattle most of the time. You must have seen this. This photo will give you an idea that this is an example of that cattle egret sitting on the back of African buffalo. This is an example of African buffalo. You can see the cow, some of the birds sitting on the cow or even on the buffalo and eating something, maybe the insects, those are present on their skin, they eat them, okay. This is how they get the food. Now because of this, the cattle basically is not that much benefited, okay. Cleaning occurs, sometimes cleaning, if cleaning doesn't happen, they don't bother about it. That we have seen. So this is one of the best example of commensalism. Another commensalism example is of the remora fishes. As you can see in the diagram, that lemon shark with the remora fishes in Bahamas. So what happens here? Shark eat whatever they eat, the remoras get the remaining food. So here shark is actually not getting benefited by the remoras. Remora is getting food from the shark. Even though if they changes, one more thing I want to add here about the cattle egret. This association is between two species. Now cattle egret can sit on the buffalo also, on the cow also, or on the zebra also. So the another species may vary. This shows that they are not dependent on one species, or they may feed and sit on the other species also. Similarly, in remoras also, remoras basically attach themselves to the shark. Shark don't do any harm to them. Whatever remaining food particles after biting the prey, whatever food particles present nearby, these remoras eat them. So this is how they get the benefit. Now another example of association is the amensalism. Now is an ecological interaction in which an individual species harm another without obtaining benefit. Now this is somewhat a different type of association, but this happens in the nature. The very simple example, elephants stepping on the ants or leveling the bush or brush does not benefit the elephant but causes harm. So if elephant is walking, sometimes elephants bring down big trees. They try to eat the bark of the trees. They try to damage the tree just to eat and go away. Now this, they cause harm to the tree. If another example, I have given you cow walking on the grass, crushing the grass, so grass life will be finished at that time. Same with the elephants also. But this is a kind of amensalism where elephants are not intending to harm, they are just walking around or maybe eating something, but their work or whatever they are doing, that may harm the another organism in association with it. Another best example of amensalism is what humans are doing today. So because of these so many human industrial development, that has lead to the destruction of many of the species, or you can say harm to the environment. This is a kind of amensalism, means humans are not intentionally harming them, but yes, whatever humans are doing, okay, that is harming the nature. So other species, there are many species which are led to extinction. Best example I will say about the dodo on one of the islands. Now dodo bird is actually extinct now. Why it become extinct? Because initially the Portuguese people gone on those islands, they found the dodos. Dodo was a flightless bird, okay, and later what has happened, as it was flightless, and on that island there was no natural enemies to the dodo. So what has happened, when humans are there, humans start eating the dodos, and dodos were, as they are flightless, they haven't migrated from one area to another, they were present on that island itself, and now dodo become extinct. This was humans are not intentionally try to extinct them, but this has happened. Similarly, so many things we are doing today that is leading to the environmental harm. So this is also kind of amensalism. Another example of amensalism is the penicillin. As you know that Alexander Fleming, they found the penicillin on the Petri plate. So the bacterial growth was not present nearby the wherever they have found the penicillin. So penicillin was producing something antibiotic which is not allowing the bacteria to grow. this was a good commensalism that we have found out, we discovered, and there are many medicines today which is useful also. Okay, so this is one of the association. So these are all the types of association. Now the last part of this particular first chapter is the vector. So any arthropod or any other living carrier which transport pathogenic microorganisms from an infected to non-infected host, that is called as vector. Now there can be two types of vectors, biological vectors. These are those vectors that complete the life cycle of means those vectors that complete the life cycle, okay, a parasite, and they transfer, for example, as you can see, vector of Plasmodium, mosquito, Anopheles mosquito, they carry the Plasmodium from one human, infected human, to another human, and some part of the life cycle also carried out in this particular vector. Then you have that Phlebotomus. Now Phlebotomus, what it is? It is called as sandfly. Okay, what does this sandfly does? So leishmaniasis, okay, is a disease, infection disease caused by a protozoan parasite of the genus Leishmania. Protozoan parasite was there. So this protozoa are microscopic single-celled organisms, and the parasite that cause the disease are transmitted to people through the bites of certain species of infected sandflies. So these sandflies are infected, and when they bite, they spread this particular Leishmania. Okay, so there are at least 93 sandfly species and which are probable vectors throughout the world. Then another example is Trypanosoma gambiensis. This is a human African trypanosomiasis, HAT also, or in very simple word we can say sleeping sickness. It causes sleeping sickness, and this is caused by a parasite, Trypanosoma. Okay, now this Trypanosoma is transmitted to man and animals by blood sucking insect, that is called as tsetse fly. Tsetse fly, as you can see the diagrams of the sandfly also and the tsetse fly also. Okay, these flies include all the species okay, in the genus of Glossina. So Trypanosoma. So these are some of the examples. Then another one, biological vector, that is this is also called as river blind, simple blindness, simple word. Okay, vector of this particular disease. What happens here? Parasitic worm, okay, Onchocerca, that is a parasitic worm, Onchocerca vulvus, okay, and this is transported by Simulium. Okay, so here what happens? Symptoms are severe itching, bumps under the skin, and the blindness. The person may get blinded due to the infection. Okay, the parasite worm is spread by the bites of black fly, okay, of the Simulium type black fly, that is responsible for the transfer. Now you have the next part, that is the mechanical vectors. Now these are the passive carriers of the parasite. We have already seen some of the ads also, where some dishwashing ads where they say the cockroaches are transmitting the infection. So yes, cockroach is one of the vector. In one of the assignment I have read that somebody written that cockroach is a parasite. No, cockroach we cannot say it's a parasite, it's a vector. Yes, it can transport some of the infection to some of the infections to humans. Okay, so housefly, cockroaches, these are the best example of vectors for amoeba or giardia. Okay, so this was the lecture regarding the last lecture regarding the our first chapter. Now we will, from next lecture we will start with the second chapter. Thank you.